morning and welcome. Now that it is 10 o'clock in the morning, we will begin our pre-service meditation. For those of you who may not know me, I am Rev Dr Ray Anderson, Senior Minister of CSL Greater Baltimore. And so we take this opportunity to simply anchor in, to put our minds, our hearts, and our spirits into alignment with truth. So we simply begin by breathing and becoming aware of the breath. So as we breathe, feeling the inflow and outflow of breath, we surrender. We surrender to any stress, letting it go. We surrender any anxiety and let it go. We surrender to this concept of being bound or captured, enslaved, tethered to. We surrender this concept and let it go. We surrender this idea, simply letting it go. Letting it go with the ease of this breath as we let this breath go. Recognizing that any thought form that we have, any belief that we have, can be surrendered as easily as this out breath. There is no need to force the breath out, because it is the body's natural flow of respiration to know how to bring air in and let it go. It is the natural flow of spirit in this human form to take on what is more life-affirming and to surrender and let go of that which is less life-affirming. So we simply breathe in this moment, becoming aware of our body temple. Where might we be holding stress? Where might we be clenching muscles? Where might we be tightening and holding? Recognizing that we do this exact same thing with our emotions. We hold a grudge. Jealousy is tightening the grip of. So we recognize that our emotions are mirroring, that our body is mirroring, that they are mirroring what is going on in consciousness for us. And so we identify, where is this stress? Where is this tension? Where in my body temple am I holding, tightening, clenching? And in this moment, in this breath, consciously relax. Consciously surrender and allow the muscles of the body to ease into the flow of peace and grace and love. If there is a particular part of our body where we may not be holding or purposefully tensing, but there is discord or pain, there may be pain in our lower back, maybe something from an injury, There may be pain in our knee or an ankle, a shoulder, our neck. Pain that is not specifically from holding tension, but pain from possibly an injury. And so we simply become aware of this discord, this discomfort, this pain. And as we become attentive to it, aware of it, we are still able to bring peace, ease and grace, nurturing and love to each and every part of our bodies as well. So no matter why or where or how the pain is making itself known, the response is the same. We breathe. We surrender. We relax and ease into this awareness. We breathe truth. We recognize healing. We bring love. We engage in this revolutionary act of self-care. Recognizing that we are individualized expressions of the one, we understand that we are part of the many, and that the many must be included in the one. So, for example, our individual selves are part of, we are a member of a community. CSL Greater Baltimore as a community is one, made up of each individual person who builds this beloved community. CSL Greater Baltimore is one center within the one that is CSL. That CSL is one organization in the one of that which is spiritual teachings. We recognize that we have individual homes that make up one community. One community that is included in the many that make up a city. One city out of many that make up a state. One state out of many that make up a country. One country out of many that make up one planet. So we recognize that at any moment we are able to recognize and understand how the one is showing itself in, through, and as the individual self, the individual community, the individual city, the individual organization, and beyond, the individual planet. One collective. And yet it's still simply one planet out of the many that create the universe, the galaxies, and the endless scope of space. And that even this endless scope of space is still that which is within the totality of all that God is. As above, so below. As within, so it is expressed on the outside. And so we anchor in this breath, recognizing, realizing, aligning and grounding with this truth. is no part of God that is too small or insignificant. Because the totality of God exists right here where each and every one of us is sitting or standing or lying down. And if the totality of what God is showing up in, through, and as us, then every aspect of God must be also showing up in fullness. All that we are is divine holiness in expression. We breathe recognizing this. We breathe understanding this. We breathe accepting this. Accepting our divine power, our spiritual magnificence, our godly intelligence and wisdom. The power of compassion, nurturing, collaboration, synergy, creativity. And so in this moment, with this breath, we anchor in and ground and find some aspect of God that we right now are choosing to call forth, to evoke from the depths of all that we are and bring into the outer manifestation of our lives. If I seek to create more art, then I, in this moment, breathe and anchor into that deepest part of all that I am as creation itself. And I call forth creativity, imagination, discipline, and perseverance. I call this forth, knowing that it is already what I am, because it is already what God is. And so I call it forth so that I am acting, standing in, and moving in absolute alignment with this truth of my being. And in this breath, I invite each person joining in this meditation to do the same. Breathe and call forth, not calling from outside within you, for there is no outside of you. There is only that which is God. And God is right here in, through, and as all that you are. So bring it from to the outside experience, to the manifested reality of this thing called life. Breathe and call it forth. Breathe and affirm it. Breathe and declare what you choose to know for and of and about yourself. Breathe. Breathe this truth once again, saying it aloud if you are able, saying it with conviction if you are able, saying it with determination if you are able, declaring it because you know it is the truth of your being as the divine expression of the One. That which God is, I am. That which God is as creativity, as creation itself, I am. Breathe and know this for yourself. Breathe and declare once again, what are you choosing to embody, to embrace, to experience? Understanding that words have power, whether these words are spoken, whether they are signed, whether they are written or text or typed, whether they are carved or engraved, does not matter. Words have power. And so in this breath we carefully, consciously choose to be more mindful in each moment of the words we choose to call into being, into our experience. We choose more consciously the concepts that these words convey. We understand that there may be times for linguistic convenience that we may use certain words, but we understand that the energy, the feeling, the emotion that is back of the word must be in alignment with that which we are choosing to bring into manifestation. So for linguistic convenience, I may refer to someone having negative thoughts. But when I say negative, there is no emotional connection to that word when I am using it in that manner, because I no longer use that word in that way. I understand that that which is the negative is the yin, the feminine, the intuitive. And so when I refer to the negative in that connotation, now that which is energy is in back of and behind and below and supporting it, because I understand that that which is negative, that which is the energy of negativity, that is actually a useful and powerful attribute. And so I balance, when do I use the word and how do I use the word? When do I bring emotion into it, recognizing that as I think, as I speak with my heart into creation, so I am and so it is. And what is true for me is true for everyone joining in this meditation. So in this breath we allow our minds, our hearts, our spirits, our bodies, our consciousness to all come together and work in concert, collectively, to be more mindful, to walk more gently, to speak more compassionately and more powerfully, to stand for truth, to walk in principle, to be guided by that which is the very life of God itself, living, moving, and breathing itself as each and every one of us. And so we breathe. Breathe and allow. Breathe and surrender. Breathe and be vulnerable. Breathe and be free. anchoring our minds and our spirits, anchoring our thoughts and our words, anchoring the very beingness of that which we are. We recognize that at any moment when we become aware of the breath, we are meditating. Any moment that we ground in the breath, we are meditating. Any moment that we align, we are meditating. And so even though this meditation as a beloved community may be coming to an end on this day for this service, we are able to tune in and tap into that which is the divine as our very beingness at any moment, any day, no matter what is going on around us or within us. And so as we bring our consciousness back to the room that we are in preparation of today's service, we do so mindfully, recognizing once again that at any moment, at any breath, we are reminded that God is right where we are. God in us, as us, is us. And so it is.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning. Whew, what a morning. All right, so.
Wake up.
Wake
Little
up.
Tracy, wake up.
I'm awake. I'm running all around our studio here. Our two-person studio is,
Two people doing the job of 200. Yay, team.
Yay, team. So I'm a little out of breath. I thank y'all for your patience, even though you didn't know that you were being patient, waiting patiently and patiently. Yeah, that stuff. Okay, whatever. Moving right along. Y'all pray for us today. Let's go. We need it today.
I'm good. Pray for her.
Oh, so. Okay.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Go ahead. Finish.
Okay.
Go.
Anyway, welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Baltimore's virtual service. And I bet you don't know who I am, right?
Tell the people, Tracy, what's your name?
I am your host, and my name is Tracy Rhymes. Okay, that's it. Our senior minister, Rev Dr Ray, who led that powerful meditation, is our speaker for today. Prepare yourselves for another powerful, thought-provoking, homework-filled message. He loves giving homework. Where the light gets in is our guest musicians. And our amazing and hard-working sign language interpreters are Rainica Permetla and Faith Moore. They are assisting with making this service open, inviting, and accessible to the deaf community. Now, we will honor the world's religions. One tree, many branches. One mountain, many paths. One world, many religions and spiritual traditions. With the lighting of these candles on the first Sunday of each month, we not only honor each person on their select path, but we also bless them and recognize the light, the love, and the life-affirming nature of spirit as it shows itself in each path, in each person, each practice and each person. I'm sure y'all recognize that gorgeous face. Our very own Monica, aka Minister Mo.
Grand Mo.
Grand Mo. Did y'all hear me? Minister Mo, gorgeous face, Grand Mo, gorgeous face, is approaching the completion of her ministerial services within a vision worldwide. Woo! Yes, and the graduating class is doing a summer fundraiser and is raising funds for, United, I left it off of my notes. I'm sorry. It is
United Freedom,
Maryland
Food Bank,
and CSLGB. Now, for more information and to donate to their worthy organization, contact Minister Mo directly, or you can contact Reverend Dr. Ray and he will connect you with her. Very important note, act fast. This fundraiser ends this coming Friday, and we all want to support Grand Mo, Minister Mo, Monica. Woo! I can see her face, even though I can't see her face. I can see her face.
She cracking up.
Of course. All right, so let me get me together today. CSLGB's activism group will gather to discuss and act on practical applications of science of mind spirit to heal the dis-ease of systemic racism, Check that out. For more information, you contact Lisa Rawlings at LRAWLINGS@gmail.com.
And a quick note.
Note.
The premise is not whether or not racism is a thing. Lisa's setting this up from the foundation that we recognize that it is a condition. We are not talking about white fragility, or we're not talking about any of that. We're talking about how do we apply this spiritual teaching, new thought, science of mind and spirit, to shift consciousness as a spiritually active group. So just so you know, it's not a debate about if racism is a thing. That's really important to know. Moving on.
Moving on. So y'all got that? I'm getting myself together here. I'm a little unorganized. Thursday night study group facilitated by licensed practitioner, I'm working on my speech today, Dr. Ronnie Ellington. This is a perfect opportunity to dive deeper into the Sunday message delivered by Rev Dr Ray and others. For more information, contact Dr. Ronnie at sisterroni@aol.com. Love offerings are appreciated. And to make sure that Dr. Ronnie can recognize your email, place CSL or put CSLGB study group in the subject. Are you interested in joining a CSLGB book club? Okay, I think some of you said yes. Contact Nancy Rosenberg for additional information at 410-356-7600. The first book will be Sacred Contracts. Today, after service at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Reverend Dr. Ray will be the guest minister at Riverside CSL. If you want to join that service, you can do so by going to riversidecsl.org, and you'll be able to find how to connect with the service. Membership is belonging, connection, and spiritual growth. Got that? Anytime is a good time to become a member or renew current membership. So, you want to know how you can do that? You can do that now virtually. Whoop, whoop. You can do it virtually. How you do that? The discovery class is available virtually. You just contact us at info@cslgreaterbaltimore.org. Yes, I did, Reverend Ray, for additional information. Now, sign up for CSLGB newsletter so you can stay informed about classes, gathering, virtual meetings, and other life-changing happenings in your CSLGB community. Now, how many of y'all have already done this? Reverend Ray's watching so he can see. Okay, if you didn't raise your hand, today is a good day to visit cslgreaterbaltimore.org for more information and to sign up. All right, Reverend Ray, what we do right now?
We remind them that prayer works. We remind them that prayer works. Okay, I'm done because I don't know what that is you're doing, so I'm going to stop now.
Dude.
No, please. Oh, no, did you? Oh, if y'all could only see I don't even know the name of the dance, but she was trying it.
Flossing.
She was trying to floss.
I can floss.
Tell Tracy, she's not a dentist. Leave it alone.
I can floss. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled broadcast.
Yes.
Prayer works. And y'all know it does because you are the demonstration of it. Something like that. We, as a community, continue to treat and move our feet, knowing the truth for everyone around the planet. Practitioners are available after today's service for one-on-one prayer. And know this, prayer requests can be sent at any time to info@CSL, Now, our musical guests today are Where the Light Gets In. And our guest musicians are no strangers to CSLGB. Shannon Plummer and Bob Simer began to travel the country full-time in 2013. Y'all work with me today, told y'all. Spreading their powerful medicine in the form of music, message, and experiences to a world that is thirsty for meaning, purpose, and peace. Bob is an award-winning singer-songwriter, spiritual teacher, and musical mystic who has been called Eckhart Tolle with a guitar. Yeah. The music that comes through him will vibrate with your spirit exactly where you are. Shannon is a shamanic practitioner, international creation, coach, artist, and singer. Shannon is an instrument and engaged observer to the story of your life. She will guide you to and through the blind spots, bringing healing to the wounds and voice to your calling. Together, they amplify each other's gifts into a divine combination that will lead the soul to truth and peace. There is so much more that they are doing, so much more to learn about them. So visit their website at WHERETHGETSIN.US. I give you Where the Light Gets In.
Nuhra. And Nuhra is a Aramaic term for
It is the new light. It's the reflected light as the light of the moon. So if Ra is the light of the sun, the source light, then Nuhra is the reflected light coming from that source, but reflected as us.
and you can sing with us. Ra.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, for those joining us for the first time, prepare yourselves. It is that time of service. Rev Dr Ray Anderson, I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. He's the senior minister for CSL Greater Baltimore. And he has y'all work with me to get my lips and my tongue to work together. He has frequently been referred to as a Renaissance man. One look at his resume and the reason becomes clear. As a lifelong learner with a passion for self-development, personal transformation, transmutation, and self-awakening, he lives his bliss as a teacher, mentor, speaker, minister, and so much more. His mission is to live, move, and be an active, which is an acronym, member of society who serves to educate, elucidate, emancipate, awaken, and empower people and communities. Active stands for authentic, compassionate, transparent, inspired, vibrant, and empowered. I am grateful to call him brother, friend, teacher, and minister. I give you Reverend Dr. Ray.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, family, Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Baltimore. So, yeah, it's the middle of the year. Well, it's a month past the middle of the year, July. But it's 2020. There's a lot going on in the world. A lot. And it's easy to feel pressed down and burdened by and held prisoner by. Like if you spend any time on social media, pretty much any of them, you quickly recognize the amount of people who have what my mother and father would refer to as cabin fever. Like you're in the house so much that you start to, can you hear the paint? I think the paint is calling us. It's singing. Like you eventually you're in the house so long that, yeah. So there's that. And then there's all the other stuff. There's the police badge wearing murderers of like, wow, there's so much. And so it's easy for us to forget that this thing called freedom is the natural, divine beingness of who and what we are. It's easy to forget that. So today we're going to serve as sort of a wake-up call, a reminder, a recharge to that which we know to be the truth of our being. If you're ready, that is. You may not care. You may not want to do this. Do you? Tracy asked questions. I'm asking questions too. Okay, fine. I'm going to go ahead whether you tell me to or not. Today's title, The Tao of Freedom. Now, if I were to ask if I could give you, I won't do it, but if I do, I might. I might. Quiz, what is the Tao? I might. So don't Google it, but think about it. The Tao, it's a Chinese word. In Japanese, it's Do. But the Tao of Freedom. Today we're talking about freedom is more than something to receive. God cannot be bound, enslaved, or imprisoned, which means the truth of us is also freedom as a divine right, a divine way of life. That which God is freedom itself in expression. Freedom is not something to receive. Freedom is not technically something to give. Freedom is not something to arrive at. Freedom is. In the same way that You can't get to God. You can't receive more of God. You can't even technically become more of. It's what you are. So what we're doing is anchoring into the truth of our being so that we are more in alignment with and anchored to this truth. Ernest Holmes said, "The divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God-ordained. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul. The inherent nature of humanity is forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom." To express itself in terms of freedom. That means freedom is already there, it's already present. How do I express more of this? We do well to listen to this inner voice, for it tells of a life wonderful in its scope, of a love beyond our fondest and wildest dreams, of a freedom which the soul craves to live and express as its being. And we breathe. So here we are with the Tao of Freedom. And I'm going to actually ask you this time, for those of you who are able at this moment to type into the chat box, what is an English translation for the Tao? It's a 3-letter word. I'll give you that much of a hint. The Tao. What is it?
Way.
Yep, there you go. Ding, ding, ding.
Way.
Way.
You got 2 ways.
Okay, so we got 2 ways. So yes, the Tao is the way, meaning the path. But in the Tao Te Ching, or in Taoism, Tao is another word for the absolute. So this word can also be used to mean God, Spirit. Lao Tzu said, "The Tao that can be named is not the Tao." The God that you can name and concretize and define by a word, by a name, clearly is not God. Because what you are doing is limiting it to the scope of whatever these letters or this character is. So that which is the Tao, that which is God, is the all that is. The 10,000 names and more, meaning it's infinite and beyond any word that could ever describe or categorize it. So the way of freedom, God is the way. Living, moving, and having our beingness in, through, and as this thing called freedom is the challenge. Because how do I live free? How do I live freely when there may be things going on with me, things that I don't know what to do? Like, there's so much going on. So let's pause for a moment and simply ask, because it's going to be different for each of us. But if I were to ask, freedom is what? What is freedom? Right? Just pause for a second and think to yourself, what is freedom? Some of the ones I put on this list, and feel free to share, type some other additional ones. But freedom is financial security? Question, is it? Freedom is power, is it? And if it's power, then what does that mean? Even financial security, what does that mean? Freedom is health. Okay, so what does that mean? At what level of health is it now I am healthy enough to consider myself free? Freedom is safety. Safety to do or safety from what? Being safe. Safe from a storm, safe from being mugged, safe from being shot or choked out and killed by the police. What kind of safety are we talking about? Safety in numbers? I don't know. Freedom is living on my terms. Well, if I ask, what are those terms? Are you able to identify what that means? And if it's living on my terms, well, how do I know that you are walking in integrity enough to know that your terms also do not impinge on and deny someone else the right or freedom to live on their terms, right? We do have currently in the United States of America what we call rape culture, where many men feel like everyone, female and everyone in the world, is here to serve their whims. And so if they want to rape someone, then they should be able to. And there are many judges and folks in the legal system that actually support that. So whose terms? What does it mean to live on my terms? And then freedom is creative expression. To creatively express what? So now for you, share if you are willing and able, share what some of freedom for you is what?
Living my own way.
Living my own way, for those who may not have heard Tracy.
Freedom is joyfully living my best life.
Joyfully living my best life. Anything else? Okay, that's fine, she's waiting. So, anything that we come up with as the checklist of freedom is ... Also be sure that we are clarifying what that means. Because it's easy for us to put out a vision, mission, purpose statement, clarifying our values, but then to actually walk the walk and do the work to do so is a different matter. So freedom is health, but it's also doing the work to live in a healthy manner. That means giving up certain foods or bringing in certain foods. It means exercising. It means a lot of different things. So how do I embody freedom as it shows up in health, knowing that that has something for me to do? Tracy? Freedom is?
At ease and peace with my mind.
Being at ease and peace with my mind.
Being living God-centered life. Freedom is all things.
Cool. Excellent. So once again, as we identify what freedom is for us, it's also important to also have on the other side of that, so what am I called to be, do, or have? What am I called into action in order to demonstrate and manifest that freedom, or those freedoms, that freedom of expression, in, through, and as my life? Freedom is also this idea of Wu Wei. For those who may not remember, because we talked about Wu Wei before, it is living effortlessly. It's this idea of effortless action, which only comes about, like we can only live this idea of effortlessly, even when there's effort. So it's this idea of, think of martial arts, because that's where my mind goes. In the martial arts, you are working with a sword, right? And you're doing whatever the exercises are. And it's difficult, it's challenging. But when you enter into the state of flow state, then even though it is sweat-producing, muscle-fatiguing work, it flows. And because it flows, there is less quote-unquote work. It's like the sword and the body and the will and the mind and the spirit are all collectively moving as one. And so there's less effort, or there's no effort, quote unquote. It's just the flow. The river is not pushing forth effort to bring water downhill. It just flows. Gravity causes it to just flow. So when we anchor into this state of mind of what freedom is as a state of consciousness, then there is less work, quote unquote, less work for us to do to embody and let freedom be what freedom is as us. Freedom, and in terms of this non-work thing, this effortless idea, it means being non-attached. Non-attachment is freedom from things, including outdated beliefs. So identifying what beliefs we are holding, what paradigms we are holding, that are holding us down and holding us back, in order for us to embody that which Spirit is, embody that which God is, embodying that which freedom is, expressing itself as us, sometimes it means letting go of these old ideas. Sometimes it means letting go of these old relationships. Sometimes it means shifting beyond and letting go of what is not life-affirming for us. It is a self-realization of the truth of reality that you, consciousness, cannot be affected by anything. It is only the egoic mind that makes you believe otherwise. So we understand that this body can feel pain, but the consciousness that we are as God cannot. And being mindful that we don't want to bypass and say, well, if my consciousness cannot feel it, because God cannot feel it, then it doesn't exist. Yeah, no, it does. It is something that the body, that in this human realm of experience, we feel it. We feel, I burn my hand. You know, Shakespeare said, if I prick my finger, doth it not bleed? Right? This human body can experience that thing called death, but consciousness cannot. So it's aligning. How do I bring more of this that I know to be absolute truth into this human experience and live, move, and have my beingness, walking the walk from that consciousness? Because when I do so, then I'm far less attached to this relationship defines me. This amount of money defines me. This fear defines me. Those no longer become the things that define us because we are no longer attached to them. We are now only anchored in and grounded to this truth of what God is as us. And we surrender the rest of it. That's not an easy thing to do, but it is possible to do. It is part of the practice of how do we do so. I am practicing the art of non-attachment, accepting what comes and allowing it to leave when it is time. What's for me will be for me effortlessly. Tracy often watches what's like reality TV shows like, and you can correct me if the name is wrong, things like the Housewives of LA or the Basketball Wives of Atlanta or whatever the thing is called. And
I don't watch no Housewives.
whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Whatever.
I have watched the basketball one,
Okay,
but
yeah.
not the Housewives.
Or Marriage Boot Camp.
Huh.
And Tracy has often said, I don't know what the problem is. Girl, if he don't want you, let him go. If he wants her, let him go. You find somebody else. Why are you fighting her? He left. He the one that cheating. You trying to beat her up to keep him. Let them both go. That's Tracy.
That's close to accurate.
Close to accurate.
The wording is, I don't know if you got the attitude.
Yeah, I
right.
don't have the attitude, but you get the idea. So there's this idea that if this relationship is for us, then it comes effortlessly. There's no work that needs to be, there's no struggle, there's no strain. Right? So when I'm saying work, I'm saying linguistic convenience. When I say work, I'm meaning, I have to work so hard. I've got to buy flowers and chocolates and teddy bears. And then I have to do so much because I'm in competition. I don't know who else might be yet. No, if the relationship is for you, it flows effortlessly. If the job is for you, it flows effortlessly. Whatever is for us, when we are actively engaged in, standing in the flow and as the flow itself, then life, the universe, spirit is flowing. And because we're in it, if I'm in the river and the river is flowing, I'm going to get wet. My name's not Jesus. I'm not walking on the water. And if he's walking on the water, then the soles of his feet are still getting wet. So if you're in the river, you're getting wet. If you're in the pool, you're getting wet. If you are in spirit, then you are immersed in and enveloped by the flow of what spirit is. And if that's the case, then that which is has to flow effortlessly. God doesn't work. God doesn't, and I'm anthropomorphizing. God isn't like, oh man, what's today? Okay, it's Wednesday. What am I supposed to make on Wednesday? Oh gosh, I gotta gather dirt and I gotta make people soon. Oh man. Okay, fine. Okay, I get to rest on the 7th day, so like it's not work. So then why are we working? Why are we toiling by the sweat of our brow? Why are we doing that? Because we're operating outside of the flow. We're operating outside of the infinite action of spirit. Neil Donald Walsh, author of Conversations with God, says, to live your life without expectation, without the need for specific results, that is freedom. So when we surrender this idea of what we expect, now keep in mind, there is that divine expectation. When I pray, when I treat I have the expectation of answered prayer. What he's referring to here is the egoic sense of expectation. Meaning, if I open the door being polite and let someone in, I expect you to say thank you. I know you did not. I know you didn't just not say thank you. What? Oh, Minister Mo, come on, put the gloves on. We go into action. They walked past me and didn't say thank you. Like there's a different level of expectation then. Right? So he's saying, without that kind of egoic expectation, without the egoic need for specific results, I need it to be that person that goes out on the date. It has to be that job, rather than I am open for the right and perfect person to date. I am open for the right and perfect job or experience of career. I am open for it. So there's a different level of expectation of what we're referring to. That is godliness. That is how I live. Living in this state of being non-attached to the outcome. Simply saying, I treat and I move my feet accordingly. And how this answered prayer is answered, it's answered prayer, health and well-being, abundance and finances, because I know God's not going to say, so listen, Linda. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to kill these 3 people and give you all their money. Then your prayer will be, no, that's not what I'm praying. That's not what I'm praying. That's not how God operates. So when we are praying, when we are treating, we are going from truth. And in truth, the highest and best good for all of the ways that God is showing up is how the universe operates. When we are not attached to, we are simply letting God be God in, through, and as all that is, that's godliness. That's how we are living in, through, and as this thing called freedom. And we breathe. Elizabeth Gilbert, author of Eat, Pray, Love, says, you need to learn how to select your thoughts just the same way you select your clothes each and every day. Well, Tracy doesn't select her clothes. Tracy just reaches in. Never mind. That might be saying something. I just thought about that. Never mind. Let's go back. You need to learn how to select your thoughts the same way you select your clothes every day. This is a power you can cultivate. We can choose our thoughts. We can choose higher, more vibratory thoughts of love, empowerment, etc. We can choose this. If you want to control things in your life, she says so bad, I say so good. Work on the mind. That's the only thing you should be trying to control. Training our mind. Disciplining our mind. Cultivating our mind. Because it's all consciousness. And so when I know that what I'm thinking is from this consciousness of freedom, and what I'm speaking, what I'm communicating is from this consciousness of freedom, and how I live, move, and have my beingness is from this consciousness of freedom, then everything in my life starts to exhibit this thing called freedom. And then, because I know there's one mind, what's happening in my mind must be happening in and throughout the mind of God. And so the more freedom that I am embodying and emanating, then the more this freedom is now resonant and emanating throughout all of God, throughout all of creation. But if I'm not doing my work, then I'm also part of the problem. I'm also part of the issue. I'm also part of the very thing that we are working to shift. So the challenge is, the work to be done is, what is going on in my mind? What problems currently are part of your experience? If I ask you to list or identify what's going on in your life right now that you see as a problem, a relationship, the lack of money, the lack of a building for CSL Greater Baltimore, is that a problem? Because my question is, if it's a problem, what kind of, or what level of, what degree of problem is it? Here are some problems. 12 plus 7. Are these problems? Because they're problems. These are problems. 12 plus 7. 8 plus 6. But are these problems easy? Or are they hard? Are they difficult? What makes them so? What is the determining factor that says these are easy problems? Is it because we worked through them growing up and we have trained our mind to understand how to solve these problems easier? Is that what makes them easy? Because if we were 3 or 4, maybe 6, these problems may be very difficult and challenging. So is it the problem that's the problem? Is the question. Is the problem the problem? That's the question. I'm done.
Here's the problem.
No, we're not doing Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood today. So problems in life are more a matter of perspective than they are facts. And what I'm saying is, these are problems, and for some, because of their training, their experience, their background, their age, these problems are difficult. But then there are others who are like, oh yeah, 1 plus 4 is 5. Like, boom, and it's done. Like, they don't even have to. So 1, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 plus 4 is 5. Like, there are some that's what they do, because that's where they are. So it's not the problem that's the problem. It's the perspective of how we are observing or seeing the problem. Here's another series of problems. Now the question is, are these easy or hard? Now I don't know if Dr. Ronnie's on the call right now. Dr. Ronnie, because she's a master mathematician, she looks at this and she's like, boom. Ray and Tracy look at this and we're like, I don't know.
Where do we begin?
Dude, look at, wait a minute, what's the rule? What's the rule? You start with what's in the parentheses. Wait a minute. Are those parentheses? Oh. Right? So once again, the problem isn't the problem. The problem is the perspective of the person who is sitting in front of the problem. If I perceive this as difficult, then I am creating the consciousness of difficulty, and then the problem continues to be difficult. I do not seek out a mentor. I do not seek out a tutor. I do not call Dr. Ronnie and ask for help learning how to do this. I don't do any of that because it's hard, it's difficult, it's work. And so I compartmentalize it and let it be what it's going to be. If I don't see it, it ain't a problem no more. If I deny it, it's not a problem anymore. If I ignore it, it's not a problem anymore. But it's still there. It's in your consciousness. So the question isn't, is the problem difficult or hard? The question is, how am I approaching the problem? Am I approaching the problem as someone who doesn't understand, or am I approaching the problem as someone who is a master at solving such problems? If I ask any of you, do you know these 3 women? You may recognize them, but they're important women to know because they're a part of our history and heritage. Let me go back just so make sure you get their names. So Dorothy Vaughan, Katherine Johnson, and Mary...
Jackson.
Oh, I thought I spelled it wrong. And Mary Jackson. So you may not recognize them here. However, you may recognize them from here. These are the women who were at NASA, Hidden Figures, who helped to make history. The only reason that was possible was because they did not see the problem the way many others saw the problem. They saw the problem knowing that if there is a problem, then the solution must already exist. There cannot be a problem that is solutionless. So revisit, go back again to what I asked you before about what are the current problems showing up in your life. Because whatever the problem is, the problem has a solution or the problem wouldn't be there. So if the problem is money, then the solution to that problem already exists. It doesn't exist as an outside thing. It already exists within each and every one of us because that which God is right here where we are. So what do we need to do? What do I need to do to anchor into this idea that if this thing is showing up in the external and I feel silenced by it. I feel burdened by it. I feel weighed down because of it. I feel depressed as a result of it. How do I impress truth onto it? How do I emphasize what God is and apply the principles of God to this very thing that I am perceiving as a problem? For as long as the problem is the problem stays the problem. It's an unsolved Rubik's Cube. We know that there are people who can solve the Rubik's Cube in a matter of seconds. I've been working on this thing for a year and a half. I gave it to my 7-year-old niece, and she was like, what in the genius? But we're all geniuses. Each and every one of us has to be a genius, because each and every one of us is spirit. We are the universe in expression. We don't have to be a mathematical genius. We don't have to be a musical genius. But some way, shape, or form, that which is the infinite is showing itself in, through, and as each and every one of us. That means we're a genius. How do we live freely from our genius? How do we walk freely from that state of being a genius? You won't rise to the occasion. You'll default to your level of training. Pause and take that in for a second. You won't rise to the occasion. As long as you see the problem as the problem, you'll default to your level of training. You won't rise to the level of principle. You'll always default to your level of precedent. It's always been what's been. Precedent. So I'm not going to rise in consciousness to solution, because I'm going to always default to it's a problem. There's a problem. NASA, we had a problem. Mama, it is a diaper problem. Problems. Tracy's over there laughing at me. So the question is, do we want to rise to principle? Do we want to rise to the occasion, to the issue at hand, to the problem, to the whatever? Do we want to rise to that, knowing we are doing so from this level of consciousness, so that we are no longer falling to the default level of precedent? Then we have work to do. We have to become more aligned. We have to meditate more and engage in spiritually up-leveled, consciousness-leveled conversation with people. Like, we have to be willing to put into practice this thing called new thought. We have to put it into practice. Let us rise to the occasion and not stoop to the circumstances. It's another way of saying, is precedent the way, or is principle the way? Which one is leading the way? In every interaction we have, is it based on precedent? Every time, all men are dogs. Precedent? All women cheat. Precedent? Or principle? Meet this person as the individualized expression that they are and move forward accordingly. Meet this person as the individualized expression of God and move forward accordingly. Meet this job. Meet this situation. Meet this illness. Meet this challenge from the level of principle, knowing that spiritual truth is always applicable in, through, and as every experience that we have. William Shakespeare says in Hamlet, "This above all to thine own self be true, and it must follow as night the day thou cannot be false to anyone." When you are true to your own self, and that actually could be capital S self, when you are true to your own individualized expression of God, it must follow by law, like night follows day, follows night, follows day, that you cannot then be bound by precedent or false to anyone. When you're walking the walk, you're not going to be, right? The way that you walk in truth, everywhere you go, truth shows up. When you are practicing the practice, practicing the principle, putting it into practice, then everywhere you go, like, is the Dalai Lama on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, but on Wednesday, he's Steve. Hey, Dalai Lama, greetings. How are you today? Today I'm Steve. That Dalai Lama stuff is Sunday through Wednesday. I'm Steve today. Or is the Dalai Lama every single day, every single moment, every single breath? Are we the direct expression, emanation, incarnation of the infinite I am? Or is that just today on Sunday when we're gathered in spiritual community? Is that just today when we are meditating and praying with one another? Is that just during meditation? Is that just during prayer? Or are we stepping up and embodying it more consciously and more consistently and more directly? So once again, the Tao, or the way of freedom, keeping in mind, it is the way of living freely. It is the way of living freely. It is the way of living freely, authentically, audaciously, unapologetically, affirmingly. It is all of this. This Tao of freedom is all of this in a manner that is celebratory of you. How do you live freely and celebrate you? How do you live authentically and celebrate you? How do you live audaciously and celebrate you? How do you live boldly and unapologetically and celebrate the divine being that you are? Celebrate you. Affirm the very nature of your being in what you do. Stop saying, but I'm no good at, I can't. Stop with the limiting thoughts. The limiting thoughts that say, I can't sing. The limiting thoughts that say, I'm not good at that. The limiting thoughts that say, when it's something that you could be or want to be good at. Right? It's one thing to say, I'm not good at prayer. I'm not good at prayer. Do you want to be? Because if you want to be, then that statement, I'm not good at. I want to learn Kung Fu, but I'm not good at. I want to be able to, build a car from scratch, but I want to be able to travel the world, but I have no money. Like whatever those limiting thoughts are that say, I'm not good at, I can't, I probably never will, I've never been able to, whatever those are, if we are going to live freely, authentically, audaciously, unapologetically, and affirmingly in a manner that is celebratory of us, then those limiting thoughts need to go the way of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. They need to become extinct. We need to change the level and degree of how we are showing up and how we are showing out, how we are letting God be God as us. And the only way we do that is through practice. One of my nephews that I'm still in communication with, he saw a post that I shared on Facebook a couple of days ago about characteristics of toxic people. And he was going through the list and he said, Uncle Monty, I read through this list and a lot of these describe me. And I said, yeah, considering how we grew up, that's pretty accurate. But the thing is, because I used to be a very toxic person, but the thing is, after many years of therapy and counseling, after doing a lot of this work, Tracy's handing me a tissue in case y'all wondering. Doing a lot of this work, spiritual work, self-improvement, all of that stuff. Chakras, you gotta align your chakras and open them joints up, man. Doing all of this stuff, I'm no longer the toxic person that I once was. So the idea is if you want to move from where you are, it's like the old animated Christmas when Santa Claus comes to town. You put one foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be walking across the floor. You put one foot in front of the other, and then you'll be walking through the door. You put one thought in front of the other. You put one meditation in front of the other. You put one act of self-care in front of the other. You do one thing that is connected to spiritual principle after the other. And then the building, the structure, the car, the concert, the whatever it is, the life that is amazing must be built. Tracy's favorite part of the message and service, Homework. She's laughing. Because she don't ever do the homework, so it's her favorite part. Number one, journal, contemplate this idea. And once again, I'm not asking you to do all of these. It's whatever you feel resonates with you in the moment. But where in my life can I live more freely? Just look at where in my life can I live more freely, authentically, boldly, fearlessly, creatively. Where in my life, where freely means any of these and more, where in my life could I live more authentically? Where could I live more fearlessly? Where could I, in my life experience, where could I live more creatively? What in my life am I right now attached to? What am I attached to? And it could be something as simple as, you do know that the only coffee I drink is Maxwell House. Mm-hmm. The other Folgers. The best part of morning is what? Maxwell House, good to the last drop. It could be something as simple as that. I only shop this brand. Tracy signed TV. Could be TV. What is it that I'm currently attached to? Any specific narrative and how it causes me to show up. Am I attached to that? Any narratives, any habits, any addictions, including gossip and procrastination? Am I attached to any of these? What 3 things will I commit to doing? Creative action. What 3 things will I commit to doing this week to disengage from, detach myself from, in order to live more expansively, in other words, freely? What 3 things will I commit to doing this week to disengage and detach myself from them in order to live more expansively and freely? If it's TV, as Tracy said, am I willing this week to detach from TV, disengage from TV in order to step into being more expansive or free? If it's I only drink Maxwell House, am I willing to commit this week to drinking either no coffee at all or drinking a different brand of coffee, simply to put myself in a space of, this isn't what I usually drink, this is what I usually talk about, this isn't how I usually show up, this is so uncomfortable. Am I willing to put myself into that space in order to live more freely? This week's affirmation declaration is, we'll say it first, and then if you feel so called, say it with me. My freedom rests in the awareness that all things live together for the good of all other things, and for the greater good of life itself. Together. My freedom rests in the awareness that all things live together for the good of all other things, and for the greater good of life itself. And we breathe as we prepare for our musical guest, Where the Light Gets In. Let's put our hearts, our minds together in alignment and simply receive.
from the tree. It pushes everything up from underneath. Well, together we rise. Together we thrive. We believe in circles, 'cause circles take no sides. Together we win when everyone is in. When every little hand and every little heart touches every little piece and every little part. What's inside of you is inside of me, and it's amplified when turned into we. You'll never hear one hand clapping by with one wing like many hands, many hearts make things happen. The reason they call it unity, 'cause it all begins with you and me. If you wanna go fast, then go alone. If you wanna go far, you better bring somebody else along. Together we rise, together we thrive. We believe in circles, 'cause circles take no sides. Together we win when everyone is in. When every little hand and every little heart touches every little piece and every little part now. Together we rise, together we thrive. We believe in circles, the circles take no sides. Together we rise, together we thrive. We believe in circles, the circles take no sides.
Thank you, Bob and Shannon, as always. So real quick, since there was a request, real quickly, just want to show the call to action once again, as it was a request. And keep in mind, anytime, if anybody ever wants me to, or Tracy, to send you a copy of the slides or any particular slides or whatever, all you gotta do is send an email to either she or I, and we will make sure that you get it. Good? So it's that time in the service where we consciously give our tithes and offerings, which go to a great many things. But it's important to be mindful and recognize two things. One, there are several ways that you can give. PayPal, text messaging, postal mail. But it's also important to recognize, because it came up, that if there are certain places within CSL Greater Baltimore that you want your tithe offering donation to go to, such as the Emergency Care Fund, the Building Fund, or etc., you can designate that in your, if it's PayPal, you can designate that in the note section. If it's a check, in the memo section. If it's the text messaging, I have no idea what section, if there is a section, but you can ask Sue about that. But just know that you can specifically designate if you want a specific portion of your tithe to go to a specific aspect of the center. Just know that you can also do that. And at any time, you can go to www.csl, Greater Baltimore. I'm not going with Tracy there. You can go to CSLGRE8, I'm not doing it, CSLGreaterBaltimore.org. That's it. /giving to get more information or to offer your offering. Now, a lot of y'all don't know this, but the CSL Greater Baltimore Practitioner Corps got together and said, as the spiritual leaders of this beloved community, that we collectively, in addition to our regular monthly tithing, so we tithe regularly monthly, but that we would also commit to $5,000 by the end of this year. So from July to December, the Practitioner Corps of CSL Greater Baltimore is also going to offer, as our offering, an extra $5,000 collectively as the Prac Corps to CSL Greater Baltimore. And why? Like, why is this important? Because once again, if we are demonstrating that we are a prosperous, abundant, affluent, powerful community, then this begins in consciousness. Tracy, move the camera, I feel like that. Then it begins in consciousness where those of us who are practitioners, the spiritual leaders of this organization, we must demonstrate this in consciousness first, and then that opens the invitation to the rest of the community to also likewise see and recognize this divine abundance, this divine love and power and magnificence as a collective community. So when next you see one of your practitioners at the center, high five, fist bump through the air, because we're still doing physical distancing. But yes, this is an amazingly powerful demonstration of what we know to be truth.
Wait, you froze. Hold up.
Apparently I froze. So those of you on Facebook, hold on a second.
Trying to get it back. Uh-oh. Hold up. I can't get you back. I can't get you on video or off. It's like, I don't even think they can hear us anymore.
Audio is good, Trace.
Okay, audio is good, so you
Okay, so I'm going to keep talking then.
yeah.
So at this moment, let us anchor into our prosperity declaration. And I'm assuming that means, can they still see the slide?
Let me share the screen. Hold up. It's whatever it's doing, Zoom is not responding.
Okay, so I will say it because I'm assuming you can still hear me. So, I joyfully, consciously, and gratefully participate in the law of circulation. I trust in the spiritual principle that says, as I sow into my beloved community, I demonstrate my awareness of standing not only in the flow, but as the flow itself. As I sow of myself, my time, my treasure, my talent, I demonstrate my support and engagement in my community's vision, mission, and purpose. I actively give as a demonstration of manifesting, of reaping the harvest of a world that works for all. We're at that time of the service where Tracy encourages you to make today an awesome day, and I second that amendment.
Yes,
Make
it awesome.
today an awesome, powerful day of revolutionary self-care. Love on yourself today. Love yourself up today. Show yourself how free, authentic, empowered, unapologetically and boldly you can live today. And since we have no practitioner actively serving today, we're encouraging everyone that if you want prayer, simply send an email or text message or whatnot, and we will connect you with a practitioner to make sure that someone gets with you for one-on-one spiritual mind treatment. And so at this time of service, I will simply pray us out. And if you are available at 1 p.m., I encourage you to join us at Riverside CSL, where Reverend Jeffrey, senior minister there, he and I will be having a conversation. So it's not specifically me delivering the Sunday message, but the Sunday message there today is actually a conversation between he and I about freedom. So join in for that. I expect it to be an interesting one.
Oh yes, those two together. Yep.
Yeah. So let us anchor in breath, recognizing that this which God is all there is, and because it's all there is, it must be present exactly where we are. The very center of God, demonstrating, manifesting, showing up, experiencing itself in, through, and as each and every one of us where we are. And so knowing this, I speak what I know, that God in me, as me, is me. That which God is in all of its magnificence is showing up right here in this body, in this mind, in this heart, in these hands, in this life. And what is true for me must be true for everyone in this beloved community and everyone beyond, that which God is God always. That which love is love always. That which is power always. This infinite thing called life itself, which is God, is always infinite, eternal, powerful, magnificent, beautiful, joyful. And it is present right here and right now, in, through, and as me, in, through, and as everyone joining in this prayer, in, through, and as all that is. And knowing this, I surrender this with gratitude into the law, knowing the law receives, knowing the law acts, and knowing that in the mind of God, this prayer is already done. And because it's done, I surrender it and let it be. And together we say, and so it is.
And so it is.
And so what we're going to do is Frank and or Jim will open up the chat and stuff and open up the mute. So if anybody wants to do a quick shout out and say, hello, how's it going? What you doing? How are you? How am I? How's everything going, family? You have a couple of minutes to do so actively and engaged. And we love you, and we will see you next week. Be well.
Be well.
Namaste.
Namaste.